Yes, guys, welcome to the video. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Kobe Ho. I'm a digital nomad entrepreneur, currently run a marketing agency, Cura Marketing, and you're joining me in the sunny sights of Abu Dhabi. I mean, if you guys can't get motivated by this skyline, then nothing will. Absolutely amazing place. Just wanted to do this video to give a little bit more insight on who I am, what I do, and share some of my perspectives on all marketing things. Let's get into the video. I guess the first question is, would I recommend traveling to Abu Dhabi if you as a hub, if you wanted to digital nomad here? Okay, so last year I was in Dubai for about a month, and if you're coming to Abu Dhabi expecting it to be like Dubai, you're probably going to be very disappointed. And one thing which I do prefer here is that if you're looking to come over and experience that real Arab culture, it's definitely stronger here. You know, there's some amazing places. We saw this absolutely amazing mosque. There's a lot of cool things to do, but it's definitely more quiet and more tame. For someone like me, I would probably get a little bit bored here. So probably wouldn't recommend using it as a hub, but definitely if you're passing through. I mean, the main reason we've decided to come to Abu Dhabi is I've just come back from doing a month in Thailand, and absolute life hack, okay? If you're having to travel and work, one of the worst things you can be is jet lagged. So if I've got a 13-hour flight, like it would be to go from the UK to Thailand, we always make sure we stop off halfway, because that's going to slice your jet lag in half, which means I'm not destroyed, which means my energy levels are going to be safer when I'm actually taking these calls. And halfway for us is Abu Dhabi. Word of warning, it is considerably stricter than Dubai. I was walking through the mall the other day with my girlfriend, who wasn't wearing anything crazy, and a security guard literally pulled her over, pulled her for a chat around the fire pit, and said you need to wear more clothes. So if you're looking to experience more of that traditional culture, which I'm here for, I love how they protect what they believe in, they protect their values. It's not a problem. If you're looking to experience that, it's definitely more traditional here. So the first question is, what do I even do? How am I able to travel the world and work from my laptop? As I mentioned at the start of the video, I run a marketing agency, and my marketing agency does something called lead generation marketing. Okay, so if you think about it, what is it that all businesses want? All businesses want more money. In order to get more money, they're going to need more customers. And every time someone has taken some money or got a customer, what has it come from? It's come from a lead. It's come from an inquiry. And I do lead generation advertising for service businesses. So I provide service businesses with more inquiries, utilizing the power of social media marketing. All of these Instagram ads, Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads, TikTok ads that you see, I'm the guy that's probably ruining your user experience online at the moment. And on top of just generating people leads, right, there's a rule of lead generation, which is the majority of leads and inquiries that sign up for anything are actually not very good. And this is one of the bottlenecks that I fix utilizing AI. A lot of business owners, you don't actually have to be that good at marketing to learn how to generate businesses more inquiries. And I can generate people hundreds of inquiries. But if you're working with like these smaller or even medium-sized businesses, it's always relying on someone being on the phone, calling up these inquiries saying, hey, is this John? You sign up for this. And they can actually leech their time, because the majority of leads that sign up for anything are not very good. So instead of getting my clients to waste their time doing the qualifying calls, we've created an AI that integrates into the system that I give my clients that actually outreaches these leads and asks them a series of qualifying questions just through a normal text conversation, essentially pretending to be someone from their business. And only when the prospect or the lead passes the qualifying, that's when I book them directly into my clients' calendars. So essentially what I'm providing my clients with is not just a lead and inquiry like the majority of marketing agencies. I provide them with qualified introduction calls. So when they do get on the phone, they're in a position where they can actually take some money from someone. And that's how I'm able to digital nomad, because what I'm selling is not my time. I'm not bound to work in the 9 to 5. I'm selling the results. I'm selling, I bring you this. And every time I bring you one of those, I want a slice of the pie for introducing you. And that's ultimately how I've obtained location freedom and somewhat level of time freedom, because I sell results, not time. So on top of running my marketing agency is a niche. Okay, I only work with people that are in financial services when it comes to Cura Marketing. But on top of that, I'm a marketing consultant, so I help businesses who have in-house teams already. I consult them, guide them, and train them up to speed on how to utilize social media marketing to their advantage. And then what I'm really passionate about and what I've just launched this year and why you're going to see more content of me is that I've released an online training course alongside a mentoring where I train people just like you how to learn a skill where you get paid on results instead of your time, an online digital skill, learning how to run ads so you can travel the world and do exactly what I do. So the next question I want to answer is the skills that I'm using to generate leads for my clients for Cura Marketing, which are in the financial sector. Why did I choose to niche down? You know, surely it makes sense if these evergreen principles of lead generation marketing work for the majority of businesses like they do, why did I pick to go into financial services? Why didn't I just keep it generalized and try and work with everyone? Because surely I'm cutting opportunities from myself, right? And you know, that's one of the biggest misconceptions I had to let go of. It is so important whenever you start anything that you pick a niche, okay? Because riches are in the niches. If there's one thing everybody has in common, everybody wants to work with the expert. There is a reason the brain surgeon gets paid 10 times more than just the GP. That's because they're a specialist. Think about it. If you had a Lamborghini right now and there are 2 garages and they cost 2.5K to get your Lamborghini fixed with the Lamborghini expert specialist, or it costs £2,200, so a little bit cheaper to get it just fixed with, you know, the mechanic up the road. If they could both get you the same outcome, I guarantee you the majority of people are going to go with the, I can guarantee you the majority of people are going to go with the specialist, okay? And in a world where there's 1,000,001 different options for everything, and someone can go on Google to solve any problem. If I type in anything on Google, I'm going to be able to find a solution. I'm going to be able to find a business that can fix it for me. It's about creating a desire for that person to specifically want to work with you. And that is the power. Everybody wants to work with a specialist, so you need to brand yourself as a specialist. I chose financial services because, quite frankly, they've got more money, okay? And if they've got more money and their products are high ticket, it's easier for me to get them results, okay? The average commissions of someone in financial services are like 3 to 6K a time. So even if I did something really bad, I spent £1,000 of their money on marketing and got them one client, they may even 6x their money. So it's much, much easier. You got to always start things with the end goal in mind. For me, my definition of like rich is not necessarily financially rich. I know plenty of millionaires obviously working with loads of brokers, and not all of them are happy because they're strapped to their business. They don't have any freedom to travel. They don't have any freedom to kind of live life on their own terms. They want to play golf in the afternoon. They can't do it. Okay, so I'm more of a lifestyle entrepreneur. Having the freedom to kind of dictate my work around me is what rich means to me. By choosing to niche down, operationally, it makes it more slick. If you solve one problem for one person in one very specific way, then it's kind of a copy and paste playbook. So I'm able to train my staff at an elite level because they just copy and paste everything. Because I'm solving the same problem for one type of person in one specific way every single time. So it doesn't take me very long to set clients up. It doesn't take me very long to get them results. So they're happy and I'm happy because remember, I sell results, not time. So I have more freedom. And then the final thing of why it's important to niche, like I said, people are actually happy to pay the specialists more money. If you're doing something important and you're solving someone an important problem, such as doing their business marketing, bringing them more inquiries, then people don't want to work with the cheapest option. People want to work with an expert and they expect to pay the expert more money. So this is why it's always important to niche. Next question, how did I even learn how to do this? Okay, this is one of the bottlenecks that most people are working and using all of their money that they make from their jobs to pay to go on holidays, right? Which makes no sense to me because obviously the thing that you're prioritizing there is you want to travel and see the world like I did. And when I realized this, I thought, okay, why don't I just invest? Like I'll skip out on a holiday 1 year and I'll use that £1,000 or whatever and I'll invest that into learning a digital skill. So next time I go on holiday, I can actually get paid to go on holiday, okay? So that was one of the hardest things I had to do. It was 4 years ago, and all of my boys were going to Ibiza. And if you're in a group chat with some of your best mates, you're going to know how hard it is to say no to going on holiday. I was the tennis coach at this point, and I decided to not go. I used that money and invested it in an online course by Iman Gadzi, really famous advertiser that you guys probably know. And it was all right. It gave me like the fundamentals, but I was still missing information. So then what I had to do, even though it kind of set me on the right path, because learning marketing is difficult. What are you going to do? You're going to go to university and learn it from someone that's never done it? Learn it from someone that's never had a business? No. You know, it's difficult to learn. Your only way of really learning this is to invest in online trainings, and maybe you'll find some bits on YouTube, but It's going to be scattered around. So once I did this online course, I felt like I had a good understanding of like the evergreen principles. And then I also invested in doing a mentorship. I did a 3-month-long mentorship with a reputable marketing agency, and having those skills in place, they were the things that really propelled me to be able to go out by myself. My initial plan was I had a clothing brand. All right. Before I created my marketing agency, whilst I was at university, I set up a clothing brand called Araya. And, it's not running anymore. But that clothing brand, it looked like it was going well. Okay. I think the revenue, I did 6-figure revenue whilst I was at unis, which means a lot of people, knew who I was. They'd seen the brand because I was pumping a load of money into ads. So it was shown to a lot of people. I had a lot of the Z-list celebrities like the Love Islanders and whatever wearing it. And I got all the clout. It was one of those things to impress the girls. I like the status of it, right? And I look successful. I get to tell everyone I'm this brand owner, but in the back end, that 6-figure revenue I did, I was literally losing money. I think I was in 20 grand's worth of debt at the age of 21, which was extremely scary. So there's 2 things you can do if you want to be more successful. You either need to make more money or you need to reduce your expenses. So I wanted to reduce my expenses. My clothing brand, I was having to pay a marketing agency 1.5K a month to run it. So I was like, right, if I learn how to do this myself, then I don't have to pay these marketing agencies. So that was my initial motivation on why I ended up learning, doing those courses. So once I learned all of the skills that made me feel confident that I could do the ads myself, I ended up doing the ads for my clothing brand. And it was kind of performing the same level as the agencies I was working with. So I felt competent. But anyone that's done anything like e-commerce or whatever, if you want to be able to make £1 million, you need to be able to afford £500,000 worth of stuff. So I still needed money to grow. So what I was doing, I was pitching other businesses saying, hey, I'll do your marketing for like really cheap. Just give me some money so I can pump it into my clothing brand. And I got a few clients. I had maybe like 4 or 5 clients pretty easily because I could show them. I said, look, one of the best trainings to learn ads is to make someone want to buy a polo shirt, because, to make you buy a polo shirt of a brand that you've never heard of, it's really difficult. When I started working initially for like a dental practice trying to sell teeth whitening, that person already kind of wants teeth whitening. They're just thinking, who do I need to go to? So it was the best training in a way, starting off with clothing. And I got these clients and I was putting all the money that I was making from them back into my clothing brand. And then it literally took me like a month where I was making more money from like doing this freelance advertising that I made in my clothing brand for like a year. Because number one reason why I would tell people to always stay away from things like e-commerce and drop shipping. I understand that it looks sexy, doesn't it? You get this illusion of, hey man, you just set this campaign up and then you click these ad buttons and then you literally don't have to do anything and all the sales come through on your online store, right? What they don't tell you is that it requires a lot of money to start it up. If you're doing drop shipping, you're going to be competing directly against Amazon, because pretty much all of the products that you're going to be drop shipping are on Amazon. And the downside of drop shipping is that you got to make people wait, because often it gets shipped from China. So your way of competing is going to be, you need to obviously have an inventory. You need to have the product so you can send it fast. That's going to cost you money, isn't it? So it's massive overhead. So, and it's never ending. You buy 10 grand's worth of stock and then maybe it goes well, you make 20 grand's worth of sales, and then you need to invest all of that 20 grand in, and then you make 40 grand. So like, you never get to take any of the money out. When I was doing freelance marketing for service businesses, I was getting paid as a freelancer. I just had to do that marketing. So what were my expenses? My brain? That's fine. So it was a less sexy business model, but I was able to make so much more money fast, and I had to keep it because I didn't have to have any of these t-shirts. So I ended up selling 50% of the shares to someone that I thought was going to invest a lot of money into the brand, and it turns out he didn't. But you know what? In hindsight, it was a blessing, because I essentially couldn't afford to run my clothing brand. I ended up stopped doing it. And then that allowed me to, really go all in on doing the marketing. And fast forward, here we are. I've created my dream lifestyle. And all those years ago, I thought my reason and my purpose and the thing that was going to make me successful was my clothing brand. When in actual fact, the purpose of the clothing brand was to bring me to learning how to run ads. If I didn't do that clothing brand, I never would have even understood what an ad was. And learning ads has allowed me to actually have everything that I really wanted. And it was linked to my clothing brand. But it's funny how things pan out, Sometimes the journey doesn't make sense until you look back. The purpose of my clothing brand was to make me learn ads, which has allowed me to do everything that I'm doing now. So my advice to people, if you are wanting to learn digital skills, when you tell people I do lead generation marketing for service-based businesses, is it that sexy? No, it doesn't sound as cool as e-commerce, but there's a hell of a lot more money in there. And it's so much easier getting people to inquire than getting people to buy. So you can get results, people super fast. And as long as you're working with good businesses, they're probably going to be all right at converting those leads into customers, because that's what they've been doing all along. So that would always be the one to get into. Okay, so just to finish off the video, we're just going to do a couple of quick fire questions that I'm not going to pretend people have asked me. I've asked them on ChatGPT. So let's get into it, all right? So when was the exact moment that you realized that you couldn't keep doing what you were doing and you needed to change, okay? So the actual job I was using to fund my clothing brand, even before I got into freelance advertising, was I was a tennis coach, okay? For those of you that don't know, tried to be a professional tennis player, obviously didn't go too well. So the failed pros, they end up being tennis coaches. And I was pretty good at it, you know, like I was teaching players of national level, international level. And when I first moved to Manchester, my plan was to go and coach at a place called the Bolton Arena, which is like one of like the national hubs where you work with the top talent. And I was pretty much one of like the pinnacles of how high you could go as a tennis coach. And that's when it hit me. I always thought that the better you got at your job, that's when you would get more money. And there are some jobs which are capped, you know. Working at the Bolton Arena is like one of the best jobs you could get as a tennis coach, working with the highest caliber of players. And my wage would have been just slightly higher than when I was coaching just at a normal David Lloyd club. That was when I knew I had to change, because my effort and my skill set reached a cap. So I needed to go into something else where is uncapped. So what is the biggest lie about making money online? Okay, this is an easy one. People think all of the money is in e-commerce and drop shipping. Guys, that is so hard to do. And yes, these guys can make it look like they're doing crazy amounts of money, revenue numbers of 1 million, 2 million, a couple of thousand, whatever. But their margins are tiny. You know, they probably got cost to actually buy the stuff of like at least 50%. So it can look like you're making a lot of money, but as I learned with my clothing brand, you don't get to keep much. Do you think you need a big audience to make money online? The answer is no. You know, half of the clients that I end up working with, these reputable business owners, they don't have time to like set up an Instagram and that. And although it is important, it's not mandatory to do it. You know, a lot of those guys already without any branding are making more money than all like these influencers, whatever that you see. You know, me included, I don't have a massive personal brand. I'm trying to get into it, but you definitely don't need it, because you got to understand, these people that you think make loads of money that have got, I don't know, 200,000 followers, I can spend £20 a day and reach a more targeted audience of 200,000 followers for that amount. If you learn ads, then you don't need a big audience, because you can pay to reach a much larger audience. And then instead of thinking that you need all these thousands of Instagram followers or whatever, focus on giving value with your branding, so you position yourself as a authoritative figure or someone that these people would want to speak to or want to ask information about. The followers don't correlate necessarily to the amount of value and information that you're giving, especially if you're niching it, right? Because if you're niching, of course, you're not going to have billions of followers, but it'd be easier to monetize it. What's one thing that tells you instantly that somebody won't succeed when it comes to paid ads? Okay, this is an easy one. So it was almost the category that I fell into. It's thinking that you don't need help. I'll tell you a characteristic that I've noticed. Like before I was doing 10K a month and I was around a lot of people that were doing under 10K a month. None of these people, right, I'll say what they have in common. Most of them don't read. And second to not reading, they don't invest in online courses and mentors. You know, I was almost berated by my friends for investing in doing an online course. They were like, oh, my days, you're going to get scammed. And what happens when I started doing above 10K a month and my circle changed, and I was around more people that was normal, all of these guys, the majority of them, they're open to the idea of investing in online courses and mentors, because that's normal. So if you're someone that's really against that idea, it's very unlikely you're going to get to where you need to be trying to figure this out by yourself. Or if you do, it's going to take you a long time. Last one, if someone followed your path, what's something that you would warn them about? So the thing which attracts people to doing what I do, being able to travel, work from your laptop, is this idea of freedom. Like, remember, my idea of freedom is not being able to wake up and do whatever you want to do on your terms. It's being able to pick where you do your work. Like, I don't get days off. I don't get holidays. And I get holidays in the sense of I can travel to a lot of places, but like the reason I feel like I have to stay like a month, 2 weeks in each place instead of just, you know, dot around Thailand for 3 or 4 days like a normal person is because I have to work. Like, I will still have registered hours. I will still do my equivalent of 9 to 5, but it might just be in the evenings. So it can look more glamorous than it is. Yes, you do get to see amazing places, but you have to be prepared to, like, you can never fully switch off and enjoy things. You don't get proper holidays probably like you're used to, where you can let go of all your responsibilities. You are trapped to the game and you are constantly going to have to work. Like, I don't really get days off. Hopefully you took some value there. You found it interesting, and I'll see you in the next video.